So this video is going to be a short update on a few of my longer term projects. This is the Psychotria verdis grafted onto the Psychotria Nina something. It's my fastest growing Psychotria species. I tested it on its own and it wasn't particularly active as the extract. There was no heptane fraction. Now, if it has activity on its own, I'm going to test that separately, and that's another long-term project. But you can see there's some fresh new growth, and it is 100% taken. This was my second attempt on the same stock, and my first attempt, the top one failed, and this one it took, but it's not the greatest graft. You can see the graft union. You can see a small amount of callus, and it's still green and fairly firm. So I'll leave it and maybe it'll work out or not. But the top graft did work out, and it worked so well that I want to reattempt grafting onto the kratom. I'll be taking another Psychotria cutting and attempting, I think, my 5th attempt on grafting onto a kratom. For some reason, I'm fairly sure it'll work. I did a different grafting attempt here. Rather than doing the traditional V graft, I was searching random graft videos, and I saw one that apparently is the easiest method to graft. It's basically a 15% angle cut rather than doing 2 V cuts or 2 diagonal cuts to make a V. It's fairly difficult, so what you do is you make a flat cut straight down, and then the other one at a very, very sharp angle where it comes out to 15%, similar to this, but just one side is at an angle. And then I did a regular split. It wasn't down the middle, but there was like similar to this, and I just wrapped it around and I added pressure. The difference in this graft that I'll be doing, I'll be recovering this and letting it grow for a while longer before removing the wrap completely. I'll probably remove this only the next year. And another project that I've shared in the past is the seersucker. I attempted a 1 gram dry leaf extract, and I had a very strong effect considering the amount used. I haven't yet reattempted that, and the reason is because this is a fairly slow growing plant, so hopefully next year I'll do a few attempts. And I already see some new growth. There's another one here somewhere down here, so I'll have some new leaf growth soon. This was a second cutting I made from the first, and it took pretty well. The third project that I'm working on is similar to the seersucker. This is the vine plant or nerve plant, and the same tribe that used the seersucker before Psychotria verdis was introduced, they also used this in a similar manner, and I found it pretty interesting since I found one more plant that has a similar appearance to the seersucker, and like someone that's not very very knowledgeable on plants, you can say they look fairly similar. And the third plant, I don't know the name, but I'll put it in the video. It's very similar to the seersucker, and it also has a purple underleaf with a very nice pattern on the top. Hopefully I'll try to get a cutting of that as well, since I've become very interested in the lesser known or no longer used ayahuasca plant analogs. I found them pretty interesting. And I'll try to get another plant and experiment with that as well. But that's a very long project and not something to hold your breath on. It may be a while, and I may put it in the back burner since I have quite a lot of projects going on. Another project that's going to take a back step for now is the synthesis project that I'm doing on vanillin. This is copper chloride, and it's dried now, and it left a nice crystal pattern. This was made from some spare copper tubes that I had with hydrogen chloride solution, and I added H2O2, and it came out as, I think, copper 2 chloride, or it's copper chloride 2, which should work for the synthesis that I'm attempting. It's going to take a back burner for my project since I attempted to get the DMF solvents, but the chemical supply house that I ordered from, they had to cancel the order. Well, I canceled it since it didn't update after a month. I then ordered from another popular site similar to eBay, and the supplier also did not ship at all. It's not a controlled solvent, so I'm just going to take it as a hint and take a break on that. And I was getting that in another solvent as well, but since the orders were canceled, I decided to get a glass distillation kit. I found a fairly cheap source. Hopefully it comes through, and that's what I did with the funds that glass got me. And I had 2 new supporters, and their funds helped a bit since I bought a few just acids, like replenishing my stock, and the glass setup also went past my budget for the month a little bit, so it was pretty cool that I got some new supporters, and their donation helped a lot with the expenses this month. And another project that I set up was the topping off of the cacti to try to induce flowering. The chemical treatment on its own didn't seem to be enough to induce the flowering, so I topped it off, and you can see that it failed. It's pupping here. You can see some green growth, so it's a pup here, and overall it's just pupping. So no flower buds this year, but I have my hopes up for next year. And another project, or another thing that I'll be doing soon, is I'll be grafting the 4 smaller seedlings here onto pacanoids. The pacanoids look ugly here. It's not rot, but I did a pre-cut to make it callus, and I'll be grafting these seedlings onto it. I'll be leaving the largest seedling on its own roots just to see how it goes, and each of them will get their own time lapse, so just a bit more work for the photograph, but I enjoy how they come out in the long term. I also repotted these acacia that Robert sent, the same for the seedlings that he sent for the trichocereus seeds that he sent for Pachanoi x Pachanoi, and they all survived. This is a semi-hydroponic setup like I do with most of my plants, so hopefully it'll survive. I don't have enough space for a large pot, so hopefully it'll do well in this setup. I have around, I think, 7 plants now. If a few die, that's fine. I just need 1 or 2 and it should be enough. Here's an update on the proof of concept harvesting of the Lophophora. The callus is very hard now, very rigid. You can see the new growth based on the spacing of the ribs. And on the other harvests, one is attempting to pup here, as well as another one showing a pup near the base. I'll likely let it grow just a little bit longer and make a cut, since I don't want a pup that low. This one may be fine on its own, and I'll probably leave it just a little bit longer to see how it behaves. So like I mentioned, I'll be attempting another graft of the Psychotria viridis onto the kratom. I've had this idea for over a decade now, and only last year did I actually start attempting it. And so far it's all been fails, but my last attempt, the graft did live for quite a bit, and I think it was just down to my grafting skills and being impatient, removing the wrap too early. So in any case, after watching quite a few different grafting videos, I'm not sure the exact source, but one of them mentioned that trimming a pre-cut and trimming to prepare the scion increases the chances of success. I think the logic was similar to, not similar, I think the logic was when you cut the growing point, the hormones and the chemical balance of the scion will change. It'll be into a healing mode, I guess, to induce new growth. And if you don't top it, the growth point will still be the same, and I don't know, there was some logic to it, but it's around that. So I trimmed off all of the leaves. I usually pluck off the leaves, but I just trimmed them off to not damage any of the nodes. And I did a top cut and I removed any branches. There was a few branches like this one. This is just a common chacruna. It is the miniature type, a smaller leaf type, but it doesn't seem to be 100% true. And with the leaves, I decided to do another setup. This is just sphagnum moss. I moistened it, I kept it, and then I squeezed it to keep it moist but not soaking. I have this Ziploc bag. It's not 100% sealed. There is a leak somewhere since I removed all the air. And I just placed 6 leaf cuttings into it. They should be better distributed, but that's fine. The sphagnum moss, since most of it is not going to be used. I made sure to put 3 on the bottom and then 3 facing upwards so that the roots don't become a massive mess. I'll just place this into a drawer, and I'll check on it every once in a while. And the nice thing about sphagnum moss is that it's antimicrobial and antibacterial, so there's a lower risk of rot and a lower risk of bad growth. But there is a chance I should have used a small amount of H2O2, nitrogen peroxide, but this is more of a rush job and I just tossed this in. So we'll see how this is in a month or two, if it starts rooting or pupping. So, and here, after maybe a week, I'll do a small cut, angular cut near the base. It should still grow, and I'll have maybe 4 inches of a scion, and then I'll show the grafting that I chose to do, which seems to be quite easy. So here's the pre-cut stock plant, and I cut a small seedling, and you can see there's less exposed flesh. I always use pressure for my grafts, and I placed a loosely placed paraffin wrap on it, and I did this with 4 other grafts as well. Hopefully at least one of them takes. And here's the other ones. I had a lot of trouble poking myself trying to get the string to apply pressure to the graft, and these 2 as well. So this one has a higher exposed flesh, but that's fine. I didn't bevel this enough so that there was less surface area when I topped it off again. But you keep doing flat grafts until you see a fresh, clean vascular ring, and then you place your seedling or your graft, your scion on it. And I always apply pressure. This is a yarn. It's not a crochet yarn, but it's a yarn nonetheless. And I did this. These are this one's very, very small graft, so I'm not sure if it'll take. But normally I wouldn't apply a paraffin wrap on it. I usually leave it just like this, but there's a large surface area exposed, and usually, at least in my experience or my growing conditions, it causes, when it dries, the corking, it causes the scion to be pushed either down or up, and applying a loose paraffin or even cling wrap onto the graft, it slows down the moisture loss, and it helps prevent too much pushing of the scion. So that's what I'll be doing, and hopefully at least one of them takes. These are the Pachanoi X Pachanoi seedlings that I'm fairly excited for, since pretty much all of my generic Pachanoi seeds from 3 or 4 years ago are Peruvianas, it seems, and most of them were completely inactive. For people that have experience grafting green leaf plants, where would I best make the incision to apply the graft? This is a vine, so I guess grape grafting would be a good place to look. Would I apply it near a noid, through the center, closer to the base, or a fresher growth where it's thinner? I'm thinking around here where it's a bit corking, but you can still see there's some fresh growth still coming through. Or should I do it near the base right here? I'm a little bit scared to actually snap it, but it's not a huge issue. And then I'll use a thicker portion of this. Not too thick, but most of it is thinner than the cappy. So I'll get the decab chaliponga, and I'll attempt to graft. But let me know where you think is the best location to make the slit for the graft. Is it near the base, midway on some mature stem, or should I get it on a green stem. I think the green stem is a bad idea, right? I don't know. So let me know if you guys have any experience grafting vines.